welcome to the second of 3 reviews this week. Up this time is One Screen Platformer. Once again, this is a game that kind of gives it away, gives the entire game away in its title. It is a platformer that is on one screen. Now, granted, that screen can be zoomed in and out. And in the words of the Steam page, it is the hardest 2,073,600 pixels you will ever play. I have played this game. It is not. It does belong to the platforming subgenre, quaintly referred to as the masochist platformer. And if you're unfamiliar with the terminology, well, it's a game that's going to kill you over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
You are expected to die many times.
So to me, masochist platformer is usually referring to shit like I want to be the guy where the game is an asshole about it. This game is hard, but there's one time where there's something that can kill you that isn't something you should have seen coming.
I mean, keep in mind, this term is also applied to the likes of Super Meat Boy, Dust Force, 1001 Spikes.
Yeah, it's on the line of the Super Meat Boy style. It's not like Kaizo asshole.
Yeah, it's not that, but like I said, it's a colloquial term, meaning, it's any game where the difficulty is amped up to 11 by design. And by that criterion, ironically, I want to be the guy kind of doesn't fit in with that, because a lot of the difficulty was because it was poorly programmed and just kind of a shoddy game in general.
I thought it was intentional, but okay.
Well, I suppose a lot of it was intentional. I'm talking about the actual game itself. The game isn't the best coded in the world.
Right.
That as well. But, it's let's not get too hung up on the terminology here. This is a very difficult platformer by design. And, its big gimmick is that it's a very, it's almost like a vertical slice of that. It's possibly the apotheosis of the idea, at least in conception. Doesn't really reach that in execution because ironically, this game isn't all that hard in, when you measure it up against the titans of difficult platformers. It's you put this up against, a Super Meat Boy, and, Super Meat Boy is going to win every time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because Super Meat Boy has a lot more content. It's or 1001 Spikes. That's the game that this most reminded me of. And this just feels like a mini version of that. If you never played 1001 Spikes or its predecessor 1000 Spikes, it's got a similar kind of aesthetic and plot line. The plot of One Screen Platformer, actually kind of changes, depends on the character you're playing. Because you've got 3 characters and a bonus character, which we'll get to in a second.
Since there's only the one screen, mm-hmm. These characters are the only thing that gives the game more playtime value aside from trying to time attack it.
That's actually not true, because there are 2 difficulty modes as well.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, there is, let's say, medium difficulty. It's not as difficult and super difficult. Because, the game, in hard mode, the game becomes that much more of an asshole. Still not I want to be the guy levels or anything that was done in that vein, but anyway, you've got Nadia Stormhammer. Think Indiana Jones type. She's trying to go through the temple to get the sacred skull of Durathium. I'm like, and she's your vanilla option. She's your baseline. She's, you get from point A to point B in as little deaths as possible and as fast as possible. You got then Rendux. He is the Master of Chief Reconnaissance Officer, and he is collecting holographic nav orbs, which I honestly thought were coins or power pellets, given how they look.
The same idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the point of here is you got to collect all the dots. And you got Subject X95C, a biological experiment that's trying to escape, and she has to get rid of all the fog. Yeah, this is nearsighted mode, let's say. You've got to clear the screen of all the fog. And yeah, she is the mode I played the least because I didn't find that all that fun.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Ironically,
Yes.
escaping is not very efficiently accomplished by trying to cover every part of the screen.
Yeah. Now, there is a fourth bonus character, the Zombie King. Nobody here played it because in order to access the bonus character, you got to sign up to a newsletter with your personal information. This is bullshit.
Yeah.
Do not do it.
Indeed.
In fact, this might be a potential spyware thing because when I opened that, my antivirus software flagged.
Probably not, but can't be too safe.
Yeah, I'm just putting that warning up there, and it's like, there have been a lot of complaints about having to sign up for a newsletter in order to get access to the character from the reviews I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, as far as the game itself,
Adam? Adam, you disappeared.
Indeed.
hello?
There you
Hi.
are.
Hang on. No. Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Now I can.
Okay, I don't know what happened there, but my microphone cut out there, and I had to unplug it. Sorry about that. Keep in mind, we do record these live.
Mm-hmm.
Last thing we heard was as far as the game is concerned.
Well, I kind of lost my train of thought there since I did, live broadcasting, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we don't edit these, so this is preserved for all time. Anyway, that's right. I remember what I was going to say. The word that comes to mind as far as this game concerned is typical. The controls feel like very typical of the subgenre. Very floaty, very it's like very loose. that's usually by design. Um, the music and the aesthetics. Once again, it's got a retro 16 8-bit art style and chiptune soundtrack. Uh, the thing is that just seems to be the art style. It doesn't really seem to be an invocation of anything specific from years gone by. Like it's more,
Yeah, it's not saying this is an NES game. It's just saying this is a retro style game.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's an old school. It's more in the general abstract sense. It's like this is an old school platformer, even though this kind of platform game didn't exist in the 80s or the 90s. Once again, that's that's kind of the modern ironies of things.
Mm-hmm.
The one screen platformer, like if you put this on an NES cart, it would have been thrown at people.
Yeah, because it would have cost like $50.
Yeah, it's like you were not like this is the kind of idea that could only exist in the digital distribution age.
Yeah.
For better or for worse. Let's see, pricing. So newsletter aside, this game clocks in usually at 99 cents. It's currently on sale for 49 cents. It's an easy recommend at 49 cents. At either price, really. It's competent enough, and it's got enough content to justify $1.
Mm-hmm.
How much you want to play that's kind of up to you. It's a game that if you're just trying to experience everything, it's going to be a couple hours at most. But it's one of those theoretically infinitely replayable things because you are ranked. You are ranked on how many deaths you get and how much time you get. Oh right, and another leniency of this game is checkpoints, because the one screen is actually fairly long for a screen. There are amount of checkpoints. The interesting thing is it saves your you can drop out of the game and you can come back and you'll start at a checkpoint.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Also worth noting, it saves your time. So you can theoretically, I hesitate to use the phrase "game the system," but you can definitely practice section, without necessarily triggering the time constraints.
Well, it lets you teleport to any checkpoint you want.
I'm talking about if you get to if you spend 3 minutes on a particular section, for example, you can exit out and you can go back in, and that time will be erased.
Ah, gotcha.
Yes. It's when you get to the next checkpoint, the time is saved. So it's not necessarily manipulating the system, but it is if you've been taking a long amount of time on a particular section, you can get rid of that. So I'm not sure how mad people would get over a thing like that, but with the things that people tend to get mad over, you never know.
Yeah.
Anyway, as far as the game itself, I'd say this is a fairly average platformer. A fairly average masochist platformer. You're quite well served for the content of $1, but if you want something with some actual lastability. Once again, I would go with one of the games we've been referencing all throughout this review, except for I Want to Be the Guy. Like, it's like I Want to Be the Guy is a shit game that deserves to be left in the mid 2000s where it belongs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's like, we've got the I Want to Be the Guy concept, but good. So anyway, that is our review of One Screen Platform. Be sure to tune in after the break as we'll be reviewing The Red Solstice.